Hello and welcome back to Teaching Math. Now that you can write numbers in scientific notation, it's time to make them work for you. We will learn how to multiply and divide numbers in scientific notation. Ready? Let's dive in. Hey, before we jump in and learn how to multiply and divide in scientific notation, I wanted to give you an example of real life and how are we going to use it and when do we multiply and divide when using scientific notation. Here's an example. Did you know that the sun's distance from Earth is about 1.5 times 10 to the 8th power kilometer? And the speed of light is 3 times 10 to the 5th power kilometer per second. Here's the question. How long does it take for the light to reach us? So we will be using either multiplication or division to answer this question. What do you think we should use? Maybe pause the video here and answer the question and come back. So if you answered we have to divide, you're absolutely correct. In fact, the answer is 5 times 10 to the second power, or 500 seconds. Let's jump into the lesson and learn how did I do this. Rule for multiplying numbers in scientific notation. Step 1, multiply the numbers in front, which will be our coefficient, the number that's being multiplied. Add the exponents following the exponent rule and adjust the coefficient to be between 1 and 10 if needed. That means we have to rewrite our answer in a scientific form, meaning we have to move the decimal point as many times as it takes so it can be between 1 and 10. Here we have our coefficients, which will be a and b, and our exponents are m and n. As you can see, we're multiplying our coefficients and we're adding our exponents to follow the exponent rule. Let's try our first example. 2 times 10 to the 3rd power multiplied by 3 times 10 to the 4th power. Here, our first step is to multiply the coefficients. Our coefficients are 2 and 3, 2 times 3. Then we're going to add the exponents, 3 and 4, 3 plus 4. Okay, so 2 times 3 equals 6, times 10, 3 plus 4 equals 7. At the end, we have to adjust this to make sure it's written in scientific form. That means 6 has to be a number between 1 and 10. And yes, it is a number between 1 and 10. Therefore, 6 times 10 to the 7th power is our answer. Let's try the second example. 6.5 times 10 to the 2nd power times 4 times 10 to the 3rd power. Again, we're going to multiply the coefficients, 6.5 times 4. Add the exponents, 2 plus 3. 6.5 times 4 equals 26. 2 plus 3 equals 5. Here again, we're going to adjust the coefficient to be between 1 and 10. As you can see, 26 is a number that's greater than 10. So we're going to move our decimal towards left. And since we did that, we have to make sure to rewrite that we're moving our decimal and multiply by 10. So this will be 2.6 times 10 to the 5th power multiplied by 10 to the 1st power. Here we can't leave it like this. Again, we have to go ahead and add the exponents. So 2.6 times 10, 5 plus 1 equals 6. Here's our final answer. So let's go ahead and do just a little bit more complicated example. One more. Here's our third example. 9.2 times 10 to the 5th power and multiply by 7.1 times 10 to negative 2 power. Again, we're going to multiply the coefficients, 9.2 times 7.1, and we're going to add the exponents, which means 5 plus negative 2. It's the same thing as 5 minus 2, obviously. So 9.2 times 7.1 equals 65.32 times 10, and then 5 plus negative 2 equals 3. And again, we have to go ahead and adjust our coefficient. And this means 65 is greater than 10, so we have to move the decimal towards left. And when we do that, we have to multiply by 10 on the other side. And this will be 6.532. And yes, that is a number less than 10 times 10, and 3 plus 1 equals 4. So to the 4th power. Let's try the last one, the 4th. Here we have 1.25 times 10 to negative 3rd power times 8 times 10 to negative 4th power. Okay, so again, we're going to multiply the coefficients, add the exponents, and 1.25 times 8 equals 10 times 10 to negative 7 power. Both numbers are negative. Two negatives, that means we're going to add. Okay, again, our number 10 is equal to 10, but it's not less than 10. So therefore, we have to move the decimal towards left. And when we do that, we have to multiply by 10. And so the answer will be 1 times 10. Negative 7 plus 1 will be negative 6. Tip: when you have a multiplication in scientific notation, that means you're going to get bigger numbers, and therefore you're going to move your decimal towards left. And remember, when we're moving the decimal towards left, we're going to have positive exponents. And if however many times you have to move it to have a number between 1 and 10, that's how many, obviously, you're going to rewrite those numbers in there. For instance, if I had a number that was, let's say, just hypothetically, if I had 235.2 times 10 to, let's say, the 6th power, and I have to move my decimal point 2 times, that means I have to multiply by 10 to the 2nd power. And so when I'm rewriting this, I have to remember that I have to add my exponents. 6 plus 2 equals 8, just like this. And you are going to come across something like this. Just remember to follow the rule how to convert standard number into scientific notation. Okay, now that we learn the rules for multiplication, let's work on the rules for dividing. Step 1 will be divide the coefficient. Step 2 will be subtract the exponent. And then step 3 again, we're going to go ahead and adjust to proper scientific notation form, meaning the coefficient has to be a number between 1 and 10. And we're going to make the adjustment either dividing by tens or multiplying by tens again. So in here, we can see that our coefficients are a and b. So therefore, we're going to divide those two. And our exponents are m and n. And we're going to subtract those two. And we will adjust our number to scientific notation form. Let's go ahead and get started. Our first example is 8 times 10 to the 5th power divided by 2 times 10 to the 3rd power. Our coefficients are 8 and 2. So let's go ahead and divide. Our first step is divide the coefficients. And then our second step is saying subtract the exponents. So our exponents are 5 and 3. So let's subtract 5 minus 3. So here we have 8 divided by 2 equals 4. And then times 10, 5 minus 3 equals 2. Our third step says adjust to proper scientific notation. And if you remember, scientific notations are those numbers that the coefficient is number between 1 and 10. And 4 is a number between 1 and 10, which is multiplied by 10 powers of 10, which will be in here. So our number is written in scientific notation form. Let's go ahead and start the second one. 4.2 times 10 raised to the 7th power. Divide by 6 times 10 to the 2nd power. Let's go ahead and do our first step, dividing our coefficients, which will be 4.2 divided by 6 times 10, and then second step will be subtract the exponents. All right, 4.2 divided by 6 equals 0.7 times 10 to the 5th power, because 7 minus 2 equals 5. Now, when I look at this, I can clearly see that our number is not written in a scientific form because 0.7 is less than 1. Let's go ahead and move our decimal point. Since this is a number less than 1, when we move the decimal point towards right, we have to multiply by 10 with a negative exponent. So let's go ahead and do that. This will be times 10 to negative 1 power. And we use the negative 1 because we move the decimal point towards right only once. So let's go ahead and write 7 times 10, and 5 plus negative 1 equals 4. All right, that will be our final answer. All right, I hope you're stuck all the way through and you can try and do it yourself, this practice. Pause the video here and try it on your own, and then come back and see the answers. Welcome back. Here we have 4.5 times 10 to the 3rd power multiplied by 6 times 10 to the 2nd power. Okay, so our first step, as you remember, we're going to multiply the coefficients, 4.5 times 6. We're going to add the exponents, 3 plus 2. 4.5 times 6 equals 27. And then times 10, 3 plus 2 equals 5 to the 5th power. Now we're going to take a look at our number and adjust. Is 27 between 1 and 10? No, it is greater than 1. And then we're going to move the decimal point 1 times towards left. Since we move the decimal point 1 times towards left, that means we have to add the 10 times 10 to the 1st power. Okay, let's add the exponents. 2.7 times 10, 5 plus 1, and that will equal 2.7 times 10 to the 6th power. Okay, so adjusting is very important. Let's go ahead and do the second example, which will be division. 9 times 10 to the 5th power. Divide 3 times 10 to the 2nd power. And so again, for division rules, we're going to divide our coefficients, 9 divided by 3, and then we're going to subtract our exponents, 5 minus 2. So 9 divided by 3 equals 3 times 10. 5 minus 2 equals 3. So again, we're going to look at our coefficient. Is it a number less than 10? Yes, 3 is a number less than 10, and it's between 1 and 10. So we're going to leave it alone. Great job for reaching to the end. Let's summarize what we learned. So if we're multiplying numbers in scientific notation, we're going to multiply the coefficient and add the exponents. When dividing, we're going to divide the coefficients and subtract the exponents. We will also always recheck that the coefficient is a number between 1 and 10, and we will adjust the coefficient according to our scientific notation rules. Thank you so much for staying all the way to the end. And if you learned how to multiply and divide numbers in scientific notation, please like and subscribe to Teaching Math. Our next video will be all about how to add and subtract numbers in scientific notation. Remember, learning math takes patience, practice, and perseverance. See you next time.